There is a version of your life you have already lived. You lived it this afternoon, waiting for the kettle to boil. Somewhere in there, you got the offer. You said the thing you have been meaning to say for 2 years, and you said it perfectly. Someone who doubted you finally understood. Then the kettle screamed, and you made tea. You didn't waste that moment. You spent it. On what? Here's the finding, and it's the opposite of what you have been told your entire life. Imagining the good outcome does not move you toward it. Measured carefully, over months, it moves you away from it. In 2002, two psychologists, Gabriel Oettingen and Doris Mayer, published a study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. They followed four different groups of people through four different kinds of hope: graduates looking for work, students in love with someone who didn't know it yet, undergraduates facing exams, and patients recovering from hip replacement surgery. They found a split that should not exist. The people who expected the good outcome, who judged it as likely, worked harder and got more of it. The people who fantasized the good outcome, who sat inside the imagined version and enjoyed it, worked less and got less. Same person, same wanted future, two completely different engines. So if the fantasy isn't fuel, what is it doing to you? You believed otherwise because you were carefully taught to. You were told that champions see it before they achieve it. You have probably watched someone assemble a vision board, magazine cutouts of a house, a body, a stretch of beach, and hang it where they would see it every morning. The whole culture agrees on this one. Picture it clearly enough, and something in the world leans your way. And underneath all that, there is a real finding, which is exactly what makes it so hard to shake. Athletes do visualize, but what a sprinter actually does behind the blocks, she is not imagining the medal around her neck. She is rehearsing the first four steps, where her weight goes, where her head comes up, what the third stride feels like. She is running the process, not the ending. Psychologists call this mental simulation, and it works. Rehearsing a hard conversation before you have it genuinely does make you better at having it. Your brain builds a practice room, and practice rooms are useful. But somewhere between the laboratory and the poster on the wall, the instruction quietly changed. Rehearse the work became picture the prize. And those are not the same activity. One is a rehearsal, the other is a curtain call. One leaves you standing at the start of something. The other leaves you standing at the end of it. Already applauded, already finished, already home. Which raises the harder question. If picturing the prize feels so much like motivation, warm and forward and good, why doesn't it behave like motivation? In 2011, Heather Capes and Gabriel Oettingen ran a series of experiments to find out what a positive fantasy costs. Not what it predicts, what it costs right now in the minutes after you have one. They asked one group of women to fantasize positively about a pair of high-heeled shoes, and another group to think about the same shoes critically. Then they measured systolic blood pressure, a standard physical marker of how mobilized your body is, how ready it is to act. The positive fantasizer's blood pressure went down, not up, down. Their bodies relaxed, their systems settled, the way a system settles when the thing it was preparing for is already over. They ran it again. Participants imagined winning an essay contest. The ones who imagined winning reported feeling less energized than the ones who imagined losing. They ran it again with the week ahead. One group daydreamed freely about the coming week. Another group fantasized positively about it. The positive fantasy group felt less energized, and when the researchers followed up, they had accomplished fewer of the things they had set out to do. Then they ran the cleanest version of all. They took people who were genuinely thirsty and had them imagine a tall glass of icy water. Blood pressure dropped again. The thirst was still there. The body had simply stopped organizing itself around getting a drink. That is the whole mechanism in one image. Your body does not distinguish very carefully between a thing that happened and a thing you rendered in full color. So when the fantasy ends, your body files the outcome as delivered and stands down. The calm you feel afterward is not peace. It is a psychological signature of a system that believes it is already home. And it doesn't only show up in a laboratory. In 2012, Capes and her colleagues followed disadvantaged students across a school year. The ones who fantasized most positively about their academic futures earned the lowest grades. They wanted it. Some of them wanted it more than anyone in the room. They just kept spending the wanting. So, what does that mean for the version of you standing in the kitchen at 4 in the afternoon? It means you have been working very hard. That's the part nobody says out loud. If you are someone who run these scenes, the conversation, the room, the moment somebody finally sees it, you are not lazy. You have never been lazy. You have been doing the thing over and over in the only place where it was guaranteed to go well. Because out here, you don't get to control the ending. Out here, you say the sentence and it lands wrong. You do the work and it arrives on somebody's bad week. You try and it doesn't take. In there, it always takes. So you went in there and you kept going in there. Not because you were hiding, but because a person can only stand so many endings they did not choose. And this is the quiet cruelty of it. The more it mattered to you, the more vividly you imagined it. The more vividly you imagined it, the more completely your body believed it was finished. So the thing you wanted most got the most fantasy, and therefore the least of you. You have been standing in your hallway, breaking a finish line you taped up, arms in the air, alone, in the middle of a race you never got to run. Nobody told you the tape was yours. Look, I'm not going to pretend the fantasies aren't good. They're excellent. They have production value. Mine has a soundtrack. There is a version of me who handled a conversation in 2019 so gracefully that people in the imaginary room actually went quiet. And I revisit that man like a museum. I have also, on more than one occasion, conducted an entire argument with someone who was, at the time, asleep in the next room and had done nothing. And the genuinely unhinged part is the casting. You never imagine the boring middle. Nobody fantasizes about the third week of the project, the part where you're tired and the file won't open. You skip straight to the acceptance, the apology, the slow clap. Your imagination has never once rendered a spreadsheet, which, when you think about it, is the tell. The mind hands you the ending because the ending is the part that feels like something. The middle just feels like a Tuesday. So, what's yours? What's the scene you have run so many times it has a director's cut? The comeback, the reunion, the moment somebody finally admits they were wrong about you. Tell me in the comments. I want to know how many of us are standing in our kitchens winning. Here's what we can learn out of all of this. There are two ways to think about a future you want, and from the inside, they feel almost identical. One is expectation, the sober sense that this could actually happen, which pulls you forward into the work. The other is fantasy, the full color, fully scored version where it has already happened, which lets your body put the work down. The first one costs you effort. The second one costs you the effort. You don't have to stop imagining. The imagination isn't the flaw. It is most of what makes you good at things you are good at. But when you notice you've drifted into the ending, into the applause, into the part where you are already understood, that's the moment to notice something small and important. You are not being motivated right now. You are being paid in advance. And the thing about being paid in advance is that you still owe the work. The kettle's boiling. The tea is real. Go and say the actual sentence to the actual person. They might misunderstand it. That's how you'll know it happened.